And we are meeting with the Board of Assessors for our tax classification hearing. All right, do you want to read the notice?
Sure. I guess this is for Plympton News Briefs. This is from the Plympton Halifax Express. Tax classification hearing schedule. A public hearing on tax classification will be held Monday, December 18th at 6 p.m. in the Selectmen's Meeting Room at the Townhouse. Allocating the local property tax levy among the 5 property classes for fiscal year 2018 will be discussed. A public hearing prior to the determination of the levy percentages is one of the requirements of legislation relating to property tax classification. The legislation also vests the local policy decision regarding the shift of the property tax burden from one class to another exclusively with the Board of Selectmen. The hearing will give the taxpayers an opportunity to present their views as to whether residential, open space, commercial, industrial, and personal property should all be taxed at the same or different rates. The Board of Selectmen will provide supporting data relevant to the fiscal effects of the available alternatives. Selectmen will also be required to vote on the small commercial exemption. Such an exemption, if voted, would in effect reduce the property taxes on properties occupied by small businesses and shift the taxes onto other commercial and industrial properties. After the hearing, the assessors will submit the recap sheet to the Department of Revenue for approval of the tax rate.
Okay, so should we just vote to reaffirm our votes, or do you want to go through the whole thing?
I want to go through the whole thing.
Okay.
So good evening, everyone. I'm Ethan Stiles, and I'm the clerk of the Plympton Board of Assessors. And tonight we are here so that you can make a decision on whether we are to tax all classes of property at their full and fair valuation of their share of the tax levy at a single tax rate, or to reduce the share paid by the residential property owners and increase the share respectively to the commercial, industrial, personal property taxpayers, which results in tax. I point out that the residential class equals approximately 70% of the total value of the real estate levy, whereas the commercial, industrial, and personal property classes comprise 30% of the total valuation. And ultimately, we recommend that a single tax rate for all. We see that if we increase if we shift the burden over to business owners, that may make business less attractive to the town, and there is no data that would suggest any substantial increase to offset the cost of doing so. So our classification sheet has a couple of questions that we need to answer. So I think you all have a copy of our recap sheet, the file that's going to the Department of Revenue tonight, if I approve. And so number 1 says the selected residential factor is 1, which means essentially a single tax rate, that everyone gets taxed at the same rate. And we project, and this is an estimate. We project that the tax rate is likely to be $17.52 per $1,000 assessed, which represents a 2.8 decrease over the prior fiscal year's rate of $18.03. So ultimately, then the next we go down to questions on the sheet. All right. So in computing a residential tax factor, there's a discount granted open space. We check no in that box. Number 3 was a residential exemption property. We checked no in that. Number 4 was a small commercial exemption property. No, there was nothing applied to personal property. Resident, real property. So ultimately, and number 5, we have the figures of what the in Class A we have the 5 classes: residential, open space, commercial, industrial, and personal property. And we have the values for their full and fair cash value assessments. I won't read all the numbers, but they are available to anyone who is interested, because this is a public document. And the percentages, so roughly we have 70% for residential, and 13% for commercial, 3% for industrial, and 10% for personal. And column C and column D must equal each other because we're not shifting. And so ultimately and the rest is all just filling in some numbers. And otherwise that is essentially the classification scheme that the suggested that this town adopt.
So you need us to vote the single tax rate. So I'll make a motion that the town have the single tax rate where everyone is taxed at the same rate.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
And did you need us to vote not do the small exemption?
I mean, that's what we suggest, yeah.
Yes, I think that would be best.
Okay.
That a vote not to discount open space, not to adopt a residential exemption, and not to adopt a small commercial.
Okay, so I'll make a motion that we don't, can I see that? All right, I'll make a motion that we do not adopt a residential exemption, that we do not adopt a small commercial exemption or an open space exemption.
Second?
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Do you need us to take any other votes?
No.
No, that's it. I just
Okay.
need that paper signed, and the second page.
That's it.
Yep, just sign right under the blank space.
Okay, all three of us?
Yep,
Okay, perfect.
thank you.
Just in the blank space under here,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, right there.
Okay.
Yep, I'll get you a copy of
All right, well, we've got you here. We do rants and raves at the end of our meetings. And today, I'm going to do my rave at the beginning. It's to you guys. You rose to the occasion as we've been dealt a blow with the unexpected departure of the assistant assessor before all of the valuation documents were completed and everything we needed to have done to set the tax rate. And you guys have worked like banshees and gotten it done. So thank you so much for an excellent job. And kudos, hats off to you guys
Thank you
for
very
a job well done.
Well done.
Yeah, well done.
Uh-huh.
Congratulations.
Team effort. Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good evening.
Okay. All right, so updates and discussions. Green community application status.
That can come off for a while. Everything has been submitted last week for the deadline. So I would say that we can keep that off, and then if they need anything further from us, I can either update you as part of my report, or if it needs action by the board, then we could certainly add it back on.
Okay.
But
Yeah, I
for
think
right now,
pretty
we're
much
all
done.
set.
Okay, perfect. All right, fire and EMS consultant, MRI, draft pending.
Just waiting.
Okay, so we're waiting for a draft document of the study findings.
Yes.
Okay. All right, affordable housing plan, that was done. They were able to make the change that the Mark requested with showing Cato's Ridge and
Churchill Park.
Churchill Park is protected open space. And they were able to get that done, and they are submitting our plan. So I believe that we can mark off as well. That's done. Colonial Power Group, Plympton Community Choice Power Group Plan, opt-in, opt-out for the townhouse. And this was something we held from last week where John asked the question of how the Mattapoisett Power Agreement that we've entered into affects our, what we
Whether
do.
it was duplicated.
Right.
So I went back and took a look at the Mattapoisett sheet. It appears to me somewhat to be the same thing, but it's not in place. And what we have elected to do for the residents and the town is to have this for 6 months. So 6 months from now, if all of a sudden the Mattapoisett comes in and it's partly duplicated, then we'll just address it then. But I think we're fine, so,
And you got the memo or
yes, I took a look at that.
It was a long answer and it was a little equivocated, but it's also implied I think we're okay.
I have a one sheet document that's kind of pictorial sense. I don't know if you probably don't remember it, but when we did it, so I'll send it to y'all because I still don't know whether it's, but in terms of the 6 months, it's not a problem.
So we still have the issue, whether we want to opt into the 100% renewable, which would be about 0.5% more in our electric bill for the next 6 months, as versus the default one, which is 20% renewable.
Here's the only issue I have. I don't want to lock in something 6 months we have to then go out of. You know, I mean, if 6 months from now, all of a sudden, being green is going to be much more expensive, I'm not sure I'd feel
Oh,
comfortable voting.
we do the whole process over again in
I
6 months.
understand that, but I'm just saying, you know, if we go in green, we kind of have to then talk our way out if it's too expensive.
You know,
For the time being, it's not worth talking about either way, it's so small.
I agree. I mean, it's probably going to be pennies. So, all right. So maybe the easiest thing is just leave it as is.
Why don't we
for
just
now.
stick with what we've got? for
Which
now?
means we have to do nothing.
Right.
And that,
That's always a good course.
okay.
So we're just in at the
There's no action necessary, and we will be signed up for the
regular, right.
the aggregation.
Okay, Cisco abatement update, Integra Realty Resources. I believe that we signed the contract with Integra. This was reviewed by council, and I think there's been some negotiation between the Board of Assessors and Integra, but they were able to come to an agreement and sign the contract. Integra is the company that is going to do the valuation for Cisco for the abatement. And I believe that the abatement was postponed until, the hearing was postponed until March,
I saw something
That
to
was
that
what
effect. yeah.
Allison had indicated.
which is great news. Okay, so anything else on that?
No, it was signed on December, it's here.
Perfect.
So,
All right, so you've got a copy of the contract? All right, so you'll get that to Barbara?
hearing is postponed.
Yes, postponed until March
Do you know when?
of 2018. I don't know the date off the top of my head, but Allison
We
would.
can find out.
Yeah, we can
Elizabeth
get that
has it
for you.
somewhere.
Okay, Old Townhouse lease with Plympton Historical Society.
Yeah, I put this on.
Well, it was kind of timely.
It
you know,
is, yeah.
Unfortunately.
We did have that accident, but that happened outside the building. And just to clarify something, I had sent a note out when that happened. My wife was at
Zumba?
Yeah. That I thought the parking lot was sanded after the accident. In fact, it was sanded before. So kudos to the highway department. I came before and said, you know, I think we should rearrange the lease to have the custodial work done through our custodial person, rather than having the lease with the Historical Society, because right now it says they're responsible for everything except mowing and plowing. And given that they're kind of an abeyance, they don't get much money, it doesn't make sense. My headset was that if the custodian went in once a week and just did a general cleaning, it would take a couple hours. I talked to Barbara about the money, because we haven't got it built into the budget, but she said in terms of the amount of money, it's not a large amount from now till next town meeting, and we have the building and maintenance account. The only issue now is we had the heating system at the fire, but even so, I think there's money. So I would like to see the custodian. Now, the custodian did go down, he put that lockbox on for the key. So he's been down there, and he recognized he had gone down before this accident happened and spread salt so that you could walk up to the ramp, the disabled ramp. And he's willing to do it if we're willing to change it. And I just think it makes sense. It's our building, the town building. It's not the Historical Society. I like the idea that it's used. You know, it's used 5 days a week by every morning, and at times it's used by the scouts at night. So that's where my headset is.
When does the lease expire?
Oh. It was a 5-year lease, and it was signed by John Henry and Joe Freitas.
So we've
So
got to
we
be getting
probably
close
have
to the
another
end of it.
year, maybe. I should have brought it, I'm sorry, I didn't think of it.
Well, why don't we hold that, and bring it next time, and I'm sure that the Historical Society would be willing to renegotiate the terms of the lease if it hasn't expired yet.
Oh, sure. Now, the other thing is that Jessica Kinsman came in and met Elizabeth, and they're working on a user agreement, which I talked to Jessica today. She has the Dennett School agreement, so if you go in and you want to do something, you have to sign a user agreement. And she was also getting the one, she works for the Abington school system, and she was going to, so I'm sure Elizabeth will be coming back after they've talked, and
Yes.
yeah, I
Terrific.
think
Yes, just to establish some parameters for people using the building.
Okay,
we should have had that years ago. We
Yeah,
just
we
never
should
thought
have.
until you brought
Yeah.
it up.
okay. All right, so let's hold this until our next meeting then.
Great.
All right, Class 2, Class 3 scrap metal license renewals. Great.
I was right, sorry.
That's all right. I had a feeling these were yours.
Glad you were
Yeah.
at that meeting.
Okay, so. We have, first one is Albie's scrap license, class 2 license, and a class 3 renewal.
Okay, so we inspected all of these last year. Do you want to do the same this year? Divide and conquer?
The fire department, there hasn't been changes
Okay.
to anything. I looked at the renewal paperwork that's come in, it's the same straight down.
Well, what we did was we verified the car counts to make sure they didn't have too many vehicles.
That's on, yeah, that's gonna be on this one.
Okay,
That's coming up.
okay,
And fire has gone up, already.
okay.
I
So,
scheduled those
so
kind of
the
early.
class 3,
This is Albie's,
okay,
which I think because he has all of those businesses in there, I think we are requiring him to have this. He really just has the scrap in the back.
right, he does not have any vehicles. And everything he has is behind the fence. And I believe that's in the stipulations, in his
If you
license.
look at the,
Which one is Albie's?
Elby's is the one on County Road, County and Main. So Elby's really doesn't have a storefront, it's just the junkyard in the back. Because now you've got Plympton Cycles, you've got
Angels.
Angels,
You got the motorcycle.
yeah, that's Plympton Cycles, and then, I don't,
You got Mike True on the other side.
no, Mike Tree is across the street,
This is a-
down with the
Okay.
pipe welder. So it's just
Right at the end of me.
Plympton Cycle, the Angels, and Elby's. And Elby's doesn't, I don't even know if they have a storefront there.
No, I think he shares the office space with Angels.
Angels? Okay.
Oh, okay.
And all the vehicles are Angels.
Right.
And that's this one.
Okay,
So I can send you this list tomorrow on who has vehicles and their conditions,
okay,
but these are gonna expire.
Okay.
And they did send in all of their proper
When
paperwork.
did they expire?
December 31st.
The end of this year. Oh, so we don't have time to inspect them before, because we're not meeting until the second.
The Christmas and New Year's is thrown.
Okay. Okay, all right.
I
You
do
know,
know
I've
that he,
gone by, Angels was the only one last year that had more than the 15 cars allowed, and since then it goes down. Some days there's 10, some days there's a little more. I'm inclined to sign them and say,
I'm good with that too. I think what you described is, that's the way it always is. you know,
Okay.
just,
motorcycle place clean, True's was clean.
yeah.
Yeah, I thought they were all in good shape last year as well. Okay, all right,
like I said, the fire, they get the conditions of what we want
okay,
now. I
Okay.
send them the list in August, it's kinda slow for them.
okay. So you just need a motion to sign all of
To
these.
each, wait, do you wanna do each of them individually?
Why don't we
or you
do each individually?
wanna- Okay, so that one is.
You want to just hand them all to John and he can make motions?
Okay. I haven't, don't unclip them.
Okay, so I make a motion that we sign the Albee Scrap dealer's license for Class 2 and Class 3.
All right, I'll second. All in favor?
Okay,
Start
CJ, you're
signing.
gonna second the whole thing.
I'll tell you what, I'll just send them on.
Yeah,
sign on
and
the
then,
way back.
right,
I'll make a motion that we sign the used car dealer's license Class 2 for Angels Auto and Towing, Inc.
I'll second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Are we signing in all the places that it says sign here?
Yes, please.
We are.
Being the bright selectman that I am,
I labeled them nice and neat for you.
I'll make a motion that we sign the used car dealer's license, Class 2 for motorsports at 72 County Road, Plimpton.
Second, all in favor?
Aye. I'll make a motion that we sign the used car dealer's license, Class 2, Brandon Berry, doing business as Plimpton Cycles, 87 County Road, Plimpton.
I'll second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Make a motion that we sign the used car dealer's license, Class 2, Plimpton Sandal Gravel Corp., 190 Brook Street, Plimpton.
I think that was for what, one vehicle
Yes.
Okay.
Well, it's,
or two?
I think it was 5, wasn't it?
Or was it five?
Maximum of 5 cars.
Cars, okay.
But you can't even see them.
No, you can't. All right, I'll second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Make a motion that we sign the used car dealer's license, Class 2, for Stephen Craig, doing business as Plimpton Service Center, 280B Main Street, Plimpton.
I'll second, all in favor?
Aye.
Now, what about Carrie's?
We better probably get the big one.
Okay,
And that's it.
okay, that's fine.
Who cares?
Carrie Auto,
Carry auto, composition auto body.
okay.
I don't have this.
What about the
And I did everything via.
garage? Doesn't need anything. It could be just garage.
No, because they don't have any vehicles, it's through Steve. Do you want to
And that's
sign
why
them
it's
and I'll
marked
sign them?
Unit B.
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly.
You
That's why
want
it
the
was-
top or the bottom?
You can take whatever space you want, and I'll just take whatever's left.
Can I
And then we have another one.
I want to channel Joe. The chair gets the top
I
line.
know.
Oh, I don't care what line I get. All right, common vittler's license renewals. Just one?
I'm going to
Recuse yourself?
recuse myself and
Okay.
go sit in the audience.
All right, I'll do this one. All right. So a common vittler's license for Just Right Farm LLC.
Yes.
Fees paid, all that good stuff. Okay, I'll make a motion that we sign the common vittler's license for Just Right Farm. Do we have a second?
Second it?
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anybody abstaining?
Yes.
Okay, Mr. Russo's abstaining.
It's for
We
1
got the
year.
whopping 10.
Yes, it's for 1 year. These are all annual licenses.
So, you know,
I'll give you that one.
I signed all the tops of these and I didn't
I was
sign
gonna
the
say, what did you
inside.
sign, Joe Freitas? Okay. All right, so is that the only common vittler?
Yes, our village cafe did not send their paperwork.
Okay, so anyone who did not send in their paperwork, we will not be meeting again until January 2nd, and hopefully they'll have it into you by then. All right, so parking lot. So we were gonna review the parking lot.
Mark, do you sign this or not?
No.
I think I don't.
No,
Yeah.
don't sign it, yeah. All
So
right,
I need to sign some of these coming back. I wasn't doing the insides.
okay, so why don't you sign those, and then I'll sign them last. All right, so the parking lot, you gave it to me last week. Do you guys all have a copy of the parking lot?
I do not.
I don't.
Okay.
None of us do.
All right.
It was from the before.
Okay, that's all right, I've got it right here, we'll just go through it. Okay, so, fall/winter 2017. Meet with Barbara Gomez and the auditors, we still haven't done that, so, need to hold that. DPW projects update, rusted guardrails, Tom Coulter. Basically, they said, leave it alone,
Yeah, if you
Okay.
want the money, get out of
you
here,
get what you get,
So we
which
did
isn't
that.
rusted guardrails, so we can,
which is a shame.
scratch that one. Complete easement for Plympton Police Building Project. I believe that that is still pending. I don't think we have completed the easement for the Plympton.
I think that's correct.
Okay, so we'll hold that
I
one.
think we're waiting, I think the ball is
In the Shawwecker's
Yeah.
court, yes. Okay. Review and negotiate expiring contracts. Do we have a list of,
And it's sent to you way back.
okay, all right. Well, we're gonna have to look at that anyway, so let's just hold it.
We went over the list of as far as equipment ones and then as they've been. coming
Yeah,
up,
I think
we
we
would have
really
the executive
did
session.
most all of those. Okay. So IT upgrades,
Do you wanna
database
take this off?
software.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, why don't we take that off? IT upgrades, database software, townhouse, hardware software, bylaw codification.
So all the software for the town clerk's office is in process. We also replied to the department at the state level that asked us for an update. Everything's on target, so I think we're okay.
Okay. All right, Dennett Water Treatment Project. The last I had heard from John Williamson is that it's in process. It hasn't been completed yet. I think they were still waiting for some approvals, but that it was progressing at a slow rate.
Are we taking the IT upgrade off?
Yes, we can
Yeah.
take IT upgrade off because it's completed.
Well, it isn't,
Yeah,
it
but it will be completed.
will be complete.
Okay. 2017 tax title land, waiting for treasurer Colleen Moran to complete process, then we'll discuss possibilities.
She had given me the low value land, a list, but there's also the land that has higher value. So I suggested she put them all on one so we can talk about a land policy, which is really what we need.
Right, okay.
So
So
I
let's hold
expected to
this
get
one.
it here, but it wasn't part of the correspondence, huh?
No.
So
do you
after
want me to get-
the first.
Okay.
No.
All right, so we'll hold that one.
We should
Okay.
see the list anyways, individually, before
Yeah.
we start discussing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Did you want me to get her to send you the lists? That's what I'm-
Yeah, I asked her, but sure.
I think I have a list, but I don't know if it's the most up to date.
Complete, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, volunteer list. We've got that under Liz's name, and I think that was, to put together a list of committees that are looking for volunteers that need people?
That need people. Did Tara send you a list of all the boards and committees would be open? It was would have been a while back.
No.
Okay,
No, but she's given me a lot of different stuff, but she's been giving me more like copies of our policies on stuff to see if we want to update them.
okay,
I can certainly look at that though.
okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
we should have a master list, that because we get stuff and it's kind of this and then that.
Master list of positions
Positions.
and a master list of
all
people
the
that have
names.
expressed interest
Right,
along
and
the way.
when they expire.
I think that's what part of that database that
She has, now that Bree mentioned the database, she talked to me about that. She's working on getting
It is
that
one of the ones that.
up and running. It was
yeah.
part of her upgrades that she's
Right.
making over there. So she has been in touch about it, but I haven't seen
Okay.
the results of that yet.
Okay.
It's gonna
But-
be dynamite.
It looks
when we get
nice.
Oh, it is,
Part
yeah.
of the report that she did do when she came in, she was like all excited.
Yes.
So I think she's still.
Oh, yeah, but she's working on it.
Yeah.
Well, and that'll be a good thing to
She's had a lot of.
put out through social media too,
Yes,
the,
absolutely.
the openings.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, and then the next one, social media, Liz, which you're working on that.
Yes.
You've already gone live, right?
Yes, we've gone live. We are up and running, and so far so good as far as it being just another outlet to get information out there. As we sort of talked about before, we don't want it to become a substitute for people visiting our official website. But it's just another useful tool as far as getting information out there and everything. So the page has been shared quite a bit, and we have a lot of new followers
How many we got
every
on
day.
now?
A little over 300, I believe, when I last looked this morning. So
That's
Great.
terrific.
it's moving right along, and
That's
it's good
good.
for little things. Even like last week when we received the email from Eversource that they were going to have drones doing some aerial
That
work.
was good.
That was
I
nice
saw
to
that.
just be able to
Yeah.
put that out
That
so that
was-
if people were concerned, it's just another useful tool.
How do we
So.
decide what goes on there?
It's, Liz and Tara work together to put things on
Yeah,
there.
so if you had something that you wanted on there, just email it to me
Okay.
and we can.
Yeah, I think this summer, or this winter, there'll be opportunities with, weather closures and different
Exactly.
things, and that will be a great
We should
tool.
coordinate with the fire and police.
Yes, and I had kind of wondered about that too. Maybe a discussion for another time, but I understand that you have the LEPC that figures things out as kind of like, if you're
What's
going to close the
LEPC?
building or whatever. I think is that local
It's
emergency
it's our
planning
emergency
council?
planning,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah. So I would, I'd like to be part of that process too. I think it makes sense to
I might
kind
even
of.
be on that, so you can have my position.
Yeah, because I think it's just highway, it's Jim, it's Chief Borsari, it's Pat Dillon, and
Bree
the
is,
us.
and
Yeah.
Bree is on it too, I think.
I'm the, to tell the contact.
The liaison kind of for keeping
Okay.
everybody informed.
Keep everybody informed,
All right.
to let them know that we're closed or delayed openings. So I have
Yeah.
everybody on my phone to one
Yeah, that
message.
would be a
Yeah.
good tool for any of those type of
Absolutely.
notifications. Okay.
So like the snowstorm from a while back with the wind and all of that. And I just called the chief and said, what are we doing?
Okay.
Let me
Right.
know.
Okay, perfect. All right, so complete municipal aggregation. Check.
We did!
Yay.
Yay!
You know, I cannot wait to write the report, the town report. We've done so many things. We
Yeah.
really have. So, yay. All right, ongoing, Maple Street Group
So are
Home
you writing
Project.
that this year?
Yeah, I'll write it.
All
Yeah, I'll
right.
write it.
Yay!
All right, is anything happening with that? Last I knew, it was
It's
still in
totally
conservation.
inactive. It's in the ballpark of the owner of the property.
The developer, okay, all right. So why don't we just hold that?
Well, you want that just on hold?
Yeah, we'll just leave it on the radar. All right, Carver Urban Renewal Project. I don't think there's been any updates with this. Liz did meet with Mike, the town administrator from Carver. But yeah, I don't think
Correct.
there's really anything new.
Not anything really new to report as of yet. They do have a new planning and community development director, who seems like he'll be very helpful as far as keeping us informed.
Where did
Terrific.
you come from? Do you know?
He came from not Somerville,
Big town though.
North Shore,
Okay.
Okay,
North Shore.
all right, so we'll just leave this one on there. Mass legislation regarding recreational marijuana. So I know we do have some recommended bylaw changes from KP Law when, oh gosh, what's her name that came in?
Lauren?
No, it wasn't Lauren.
Oh, well, yeah, I forget her name.
Yeah, well, she came in and did a nice presentation and had a packet with some suggested bylaw changes to address recreational marijuana. And I believe we gave all of that to the bylaw review committee, and I think planning board got copies of them as well. Yeah, and I'll email it to you too,
Okay.
Liz, so that you've got it. So it's just, I think they wanted us to extend the moratorium, which was allowed by law, just to give a little bit more time for everything to be hashed out by the state.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are they planning to act on that for the upcoming town meeting?
Yes, that
in
was the
spring?
recommendation, it was to
Okay.
have this on the warrant for the annual town meeting.
Perfect,
So
okay.
I'll definitely get that to you. All right, CEC Solar Project, Brook Street.
It is in their ballpark again. They are not acting, moving forward on a pilot agreement.
Okay. Rural school aid proposal, Jason Frazier from the Silver Lake Regional School District, our school committee was going to be following this on our behalf, and if anything changed, he would let us know. So, no change, so we'll just kind of leave that on the radar as well. All right, under other, committees and boards to be established. Economic Development Committee,
That's kind of in abeyance. One of the things we have to do is, you have to meet John Norrie, who
Right.
owns a good deal of the industrial park. Sorry about that.
everyone please silence your cell phones.
I like that one.
That was a great ringtone.
That's a good ring. Can I call you and let that ring again?
Anytime you want to hear it.
I didn't know where that was coming from.
Okay, Economic Development, John Norrie.
So we'll
Yes,
arrange a time.
that would be
I
good.
think until we know what he's doing, anything else is kind of minor.
Okay.
You know, when we do that, we might have to post it, but I'd love to come with you
Sure.
and I'd love
Sure.
to meet him.
Sure.
Oh, he's a great guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, and as long as you're not deliberating on any matters, like you're free to do that, but we can always post it,
Just to
Be
be on
covered.
the safe
Side.
side, yeah.
Interesting little tidbit on this. I think I showed this to you, what OCPC, Old Colony Planning Council, put together for the town of Pembroke with, it had to do with economic development.
Yes.
And it was a nice little packet about how to do business in the town of Pembroke. You know, what the permit policies were, the fees, who you contact, and that might be something that we want to do through OCPC with a grant.
I can send my copy to Elizabeth.
Yeah, do you want to send it to Liz?
Yeah, that would be, I think that would be good. It goes along with attracting new business.
It was nicely done.
It was very nicely
Where
done.
there's opportunity.
Right.
And it, I don't know, it presents a better kind of image, I think, for prospective developers to be able to see.
And I believe that was done through a DLTA grant. There's
Okay.
so many different things they could do
I
through
believe
DLTA.
after the first of the year, they're gonna be offering more stuff. I was in touch with Lori to find out, and she said that, you know, once they're offering them, we'll get notification,
Perfect.
and then we could kind of brainstorm.
Okay, that sounds really
projects.
good. All right, possible ways to combine services with Halifax or Carver. Fire EMS, we are doing a study right now they're finishing up a study to look at our fire department, and they'll be making some recommendations to us. The assessor's office, we had talked about the possibility of maybe having a part-time or sharing an assistant assessor, but I believe that they've
Sounds like.
hired someone.
Right. There still may be an opportunity just to talk. They should talk, the two towns.
Okay.
Do you want to leave the assessor on there then?
Yeah, just for the time being.
Okay,
It's-
well, why don't we
it might
leave
go
both
over.
of these on there? Town accountant, that might be something as well, when Barbara retires, that we'll need to look,
Down the road,
Down the
could be,
road?
yeah.
okay?
Quite a ways down the road.
Yeah, quite a ways down the road. An IT person,
That is going to become more and more important. Michael
Halifax
does a
has
good job.
somebody, don't they?
do.
Yeah, they have an IT person.
Right, he's only been there in the last 6 months. But that's an area we should
Okay.
kind of look at.
We had talked about animal control officer and the animal inspector, and Noreen from Halifax was interested in covering for us. Frank will be retiring, I believe, March? February, March? So this might be something that we want to get moving on with Charlie first
Okay.
of the year about
Okay.
the possibility of getting Noreen in place to be a part-time animal control officer and animal inspector.
Okay, I
For
just
us.
saw Charlie today, but I'll,
Okay, and
I'll
he's
follow up
aware of
with
it,
him.
because we went back and forth, and,
Yeah, we should get on that because actually there'll be budgetary considerations.
yeah, absolutely. And I think that there is, one of the appointments starts January 1st, I believe, the inspector of animals.
Inspector of animals, I believe.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
That'd be around. I'll
Okay,
have to pull it.
we'll figure it out. But yeah, that would be something that I think we need to get moving on. All right, so Liz will check on that one. Community roundtable, Maureen Springer, Jason Frazier. This was to get together and talk about the school budget, and this is going to be more of something that would probably be appropriate during this budget cycle, is to get the department
Yeah, I
heads
think-
together.
The one when we had Rich,
Rich Bowen, that was
Rich-
terrific.
yeah, so I think after the first of the year, we should have something in January or early February. And it,
Just to get together?
yeah, maybe an update on what people's thinking are, what the financial impact of that might be.
Yeah, that's
Let
it.
everybody hear. I thought the people seemed interested.
Yeah, everybody felt like it was really valuable, and it'd be great to have Liz there too. To be part of it.
Right.
Okay, yeah. So why don't we look at it again at our next meeting and try to set a date?
Good.
Okay,
Do you
perfect.
want me to invite people and to throw out
Why don't you,
dates?
we'll put it on the agenda for our meeting January 2nd, I believe, that's when we're meeting. And we'll come up with a date then for our next roundtable, department head roundtable.
That's
So that's going to be on the agenda.
Yeah. Okay, master plan for Plympton.
Well, I'm a little.
Don't everyone speak up at once.
We got so many plans, I'm not sure what is the master plan.
Well, the master plan
I
would
mean, you got
be,
affordable housing, you got green community, you've got
we've got
open space.
an open space plan. But we do, I think it is something that we do need to look at, is putting together a master plan.
I think we got just the person down the end that should.
And it,
Guide
and
us.
it would be through grant money, would be the best way to do it, is to get Old Colony Planning Council involved?
Probably so, but they're such a good resource that it might be better off if we, depending on if we have other ideas for projects, it might be, their time may be better spent doing something else that we need, and maybe we could get the framework together for one and then see if we need their help maybe for a future one.
Okay.
I just don't know that we want to use up their resources. Like if we get one shot at a technical assistance award, I don't know that we want it to be for that. I've been through the process of master plan, both developing one and then kind of overseeing implementation of another one. And so I could probably come up with a draft framework, like in Word format, that
Great.
everybody could kind of play with.
Okay.
A big part of that is getting community buy-in and kind of making sure that you hear from everybody from all different perspectives. So when we get into that process, there's a lot of notification requirements. You have to be able to prove to the state essentially that you went above and beyond and sought out every last person's perspective. So it might be something that we could use OCPC for when we get to that stage, to make sure that we do everything, dot all of our I's, cross all of our T's, that sort of thing, and get it submitted to the state. But to start out with, we may want to work on a draft first.
Okay.
And maybe seek their assistance with something else that's a little more short-term and
Okay.
kind of immediate gratification. But that's just my
Okay.
sort
Well,
of,
you're right, and DLT grants are limited, and, I mean, we just finished up one, it was the whole year for the housing production plan. So we do
right,
want
I
to
could
make
see
good,
that almost being like a
choices.
two-phase project. So if we could do phase one on our own and then maybe bring them in for all the, to oversee all of the public input sessions and everything. 'Cause
Okay.
there are only so many nights in a week, even for all of us. So it's nice to have somebody like that involved that can kind of facilitate some of these meetings so that it's not one of you or me having to go to, 15 different input sessions, all kind of hearing the same thing. It is nice to have their coordination in the process, but I think we might be better served by doing that after we've put some thought into it.
Well, and
So-
what's the benefit of having a master plan?
It enables you to be eligible for certain types of grant funding. That's really what it is. It's a tool for grant funding. And I think to an extent it does shed a positive light on the town. I think if you were looking to encourage certain types of development in town, people tend to look favorably upon a community who has a master plan. Usually they're a 20-year plan. So people refer to them often as kind of living, breathing documents, but it's not quite as much of a living document. It's a 20-year plan typically that the state approves. And it's a big process, and it's hard, I think, for any community to be able to say for certain where you're going to be, 15 years down the line. What I've found in my experience is that the plans are very useful for the first 5 to 10 years, and then they become somewhat obsolete and kind of sit on the shelf.
Don't you have to renew them every 5 years?
You typically prepare an update.
Okay.
So it's, it's one of those things where some places put together a master plan implementation committee, and they prepare the 5-year update. That's not nearly as intensive with like the public input and everything. That's more or less just kind of keeping tabs on the goals and objectives and making sure that the town and the departments are generally following the plan. In a town this size where it seems like so many people are like volunteering and they're on more than one board and kind of spread pretty thin, it would not be unheard of to kind of delegate responsibility for implementation and updates to the planning board. Usually the planning board in most places is the main like stewardship authority for the plan. So once we had a plan in place and it was approved by the state, I think that it would be a wise decision to charge the planning board, here you go, here's your document, please publish the 5-year update and everything, and kind of check in with them once in a while, or rather have them check in with us, and kind of keep us apprised, but some places do just the planning board, other places do maybe one member of the Board of Selectmen and the planning board, or some places it's a whole mix. It kind of depends too on what you have available for volunteers, as far as that
Be the
goes.
issue, really.
It's gonna be a huge project, and I just don't know what is the best time to even undertake something like that.
Then the other thing that I found too, aside from the grant funding aspect of it, some places are actually moving away from master plans and more towards individual neighborhood plans, which is a little more applicable in a larger place where you have very different neighborhoods maybe within the same community. But I mean, here we could do a master plan for the town center, and then maybe you could do another one for, you know, the more industrial area, like down near where like Cisco and some of those facilities are. Maybe you could do a couple smaller ones and then sort of bridge them together. But some places are moving towards that. Just because it's hard, even in a small town, I think it's difficult to put together one document that adequately advocates for everyone's interests equally. You know what I mean? There are different, I think, members of the population who may have different priorities. And so I think if you concentrated it on different areas, you'd bring out more people to give input who are actual stakeholders, like maybe they reside in the area you're talking about, or they own a business there, you know, or if we did one for the town center, that could help further the idea along of making this more of a community space type area, and you'd get input from people kind of coming from that angle. So maybe we could explore the validity of that, like if we were to do one at a time and kind of pick these areas, are we still eligible for certain types of funding? That would be something that we could investigate.
That'd be pretty exciting, because I think there's a shared interest here, and particularly dealing with this
Yes.
area. And of course, this is important stuff, but I think we all know this is a priority after you've gotten your feet on the ground, and we've dealt with a lot of other stuff. This is at least 6 months away. Actually, I love the idea of a
Yeah, I
local
think maybe
master
just do
plan.
one for the town center first and kind of get people used to the idea too. Because it's also nothing for people to be alarmed about. I think when people first hear that you're developing a master plan, they say, well, what, do they want to change my street or my neighborhood? I like where I live. I don't want anything to, and it's not about changing anything. It's just more or less mapping out. But it seems like, I don't know, the town's fairly small, and it seems like this board has done a good job of that already. So, I don't
We'll
see.
find out.
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
that's an
but I think
interesting
with the
thing to
housing
explore.
production plan,
That'd be cool.
I
I'd
think
be
you kind of
excited.
have the residential piece sort of down. So I think if we did one for the town center, that might be an effective exercise anyway, regardless of where we want to go with a full master plan, just to kind of get everyone on the same
Yeah.
page for this land here.
Be great. That's great.
Yeah,
That'd be
and maybe
exciting.
it would make more sense just to do that, and then to have the open space, to put together a recreational plan, and have some standalone plans, and just really have a master plan for that one area.
Right, right. So we could certainly look into that too and find
Okay.
out, you know, if there is any funding that we would be missing out on if we don't have a full one. Because then you have to look into as well, if you are missing out on any funding, are those grants that you would have been eligible for anyway?
Right, or you would
Or are they
want
more
to,
geared
right.
towards larger
Right.
cities that, you know?
One of
Okay.
the
Might
things
not
you're
be
gonna have to
applicable.
help us is, we got so many things going, is, you know, keeping the list straight and making us aware of the prioritization. Because I don't know how we're gonna do all of some of these.
Right, and that's it, it's just
Yeah,
setting up
yeah.
priorities, and we've done a pretty good job so far, you
So
know,
far.
tacking things off on
Yeah.
the list.
Yeah.
Okay, so next one is DOR Advisory Committee, Financial Best Practices. Are we done? Yes, we are done with that. Monica did provide us with a document in Word format so that we can update it, and I believe Liz has got that. She did say there was a tool that she still owes us to help you use the financial planning portion of it. So what I'll do is I'll email you with Monica's contact information so that you can reach out to her and have her send you the tool that
Okay.
you and Barbara will use to work through those spreadsheets.
Okay.
Is this the forecast, operational forecasting?
This
or
would be the
CIP?
forecasting, and I'm not sure which one it is, but she said
Okay.
I owe you a tool
Okay,
to help
good.
you use
Okay.
these. The
I'm
DO
very interested in this operational piece of it as we go through the budget cycle, so
Mhm.
we'll be talking through Barbara. with it.
Yes.
Well, yeah, because this year, things will have fallen out of the CIP, and we're gonna have new ones
Yep.
go in, so we'll really have, and then what we decided to do was, we were gonna go through one budget cycle with these documents, make sure that they work for us, and then if they do, we'll adopt it. So we didn't
Okay.
adopt it, it was with
Right.
that understanding.
Oh, that's
that we
good.
wanted
Test
to take
drive
it for a
it
test
first.
drive, and then see how it works out, and then if we need to tweak things, we'll tweak them, and then adopt it. So,
Excellent.
okay. So DOR Advisory Committee, this was you, me, and Susan Ossoff. Can we dissolve this committee?
Over drinks? I guess we
I
can.
mean, we pretty much
We
wrapped
have to
it
go
up.
to, we have to go to Tara and have her officially dissolve it,
Why?
because she does that.
No, we vote to dissolve the committee.
No, but she's got us registered.
And I think it's until
Until
dissolved.
the committee's dissolved.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah.
So now you have to have a meeting and vote to dissolve.
No, we could just dissolve it. I'll make a motion that we dissolve the DOR
Don't we need
Advisory
Susan?
Committee. No, because
Okay.
we're a majority.
All right.
All right, do you have a second?
I think I better.
All right, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay,
You've been dissolved.
we've been dissolved. We did everything, and you're wrapping up the last of that, so, all right, Personnel Policy Employee Handbook, we finished that. I found it actually when I was looking for something else that, that Dale
I think-
had done it, and I sent it
Yes,
all
you
off to
sent it
Liz.
to-
I think I got it in here.
That
The problem is
probably
I've never
needs to
read
get
most of
updated.
it.
Much of that was done during my first term, and Dale was gonna pull it all together. It was very much a living document. It was actually much closer to a piecemeal document.
Yeah.
But I think on a rainy day, it'd be
I
a
think-
great thing for you to look
And I
over.
think
Yeah.
that they're looking, I was talking to Barbara a little bit, and I believe that the wage and personnel group is looking to make some changes to one of the items that they have as far as how we advertise positions and everything. And I think that they wanted to get me more involved in that process to kind of bring it back to you guys and not
Perfect.
have departments going off on their own with hiring and everything.
Okay.
So
The piece that never happened is Dale was gonna collate all this stuff and put it in order.
I don't know if it is collated, you've got all of
I
that.
have all of it that you sent me via email, and I think John had printed something for me too, and I have a nice,
Okay.
neat binder, so.
So I don't
It
know if he
It
collated it.
needs to be gone through because it's.
It's piecemeal.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay,
Okay,
and then I'm assuming that would we need wage and personnel to kind of weigh in
Sure,
one more time?
yeah.
Okay,
and then we could say it's,
it's adopted.
You know, once we have it all pulled together, I think all the departments might wanna weigh in and
I
take a
think so,
look at
too.
it, so we're all on the same page. I'd love to have Barbara look at it, cause she'll have ideas, and Tara as well.
Okay,
And that'd be a
I'm
nice
afraid
thing.
it's just gonna get filed if we
Right,
don't do
yeah.
that.
I mean, that may be another 6 months or a year,
Yeah,
but that,
right.
we
We
should
can
just
keep
get
it
it
on the
done.
radar, okay.
Yeah.
You did adopt some of them, you do know that.
right.
Yeah, we adopted
did.
a lot, but it's just little pieces at a time, and, you know,
I think we
hopefully it's
adopted
in a
all of
folder.
them.
Yeah, we
Everything that
did.
was sent to Liz was what we had adopted, but, things change and,
Right.
yeah, it just needs to be
I'll send also
Rework.
what I have to see if it matches,
perfect.
because he sent me those things as
Okay.
they go. So I have it
Okay,
as a folder.
Perfect.
As employee handbook.
all right, so why don't we just leave this on the radar?
Yeah.
Outdoor recreation plan? Plan. Why don't we just leave it on here?
Who is assigned to do that? Us? Or the
Yeah,
recreation?
one of the problems is we probably need an active recreation committee, which we probably don't have right now.
Well, that will be something we could put on Facebook, that we're looking for people to serve on recreation. I mean,
Actually,
there's grant money available, and we're missing out on things because we don't have people serving on this committee.
With this, it comes in a big zip on the mail.
Okay, yeah, I think that there's a couple people, but they need, I think it's a 5-member committee, and I believe they maybe have 2 or 3 people. So they need more people, but we can find that out on the list of volunteers. Okay,
Roundtable we may want to make volunteerism a part of the discussion.
okay. Okay, good idea. Review historical building lease, we're gonna do that. Perfect, okay. So that's the parking lot. So we did knock some of the things off, a couple of big ones, and there's still more to do. Anything that we need to add?
Are we going to have the historical building lease for for 1, 2?
Yes, for 1, 2. We're gonna talk about it. John's gonna find the lease, find out when it expires,
Yeah.
and then we're just gonna discuss it.
I should have brought it. One of the things I'd like us to do is take this list and here's the things we've done, so we list them.
Mhm.
Here's the things that are in process, here's the things we may have dropped if we don't want to do them.
Okay.
Because I'm afraid, once it'll go into the town letter or
Mhm.
whatever, but then we'll sort of, we need to keep this going for a couple of years.
Well, that was what we had talked about with the whiteboard, why it would be nice to have, working, done,
Exactly.
whatever, just so that we can keep track of everything we've got going on, and that people can see, what
Exactly.
we're working on now, and if,
So once we get our document reader, and Liz is gonna be tasked to keep the list, because she likes lists.
okay.
I do.
Okay,
I'm a
We'll
list
have it.
person.
okay.
Do you like how
Oh.
this list is worded?
And a calendar.
We can tweak it. We can just
Good.
give it to Liz and she can
Yeah.
tweak it to a way that works for her. So I'll just give you that.
Perfect. That works.
And you can start your list. Perfect.
Excellent.
So
I'll send
put a
this to
date
you
on
with
that
the-
if it
with
is
a
not.
Word document list.
Okay,
Of course.
so parking lot. All right, town administrator updates.
Let's see here. So I was invited to the fire department, which I'm doing tomorrow. And then the chief will be taking me along to Cisco, light control to be scheduled after the holidays. I'm planning to attend the MMA workshop, on the 19th. And then depending on what they're offering on the 20th, I may stick around for a portion of that. But I'm definitely planning to go on January 19th. And that's also in correspondence, because we'll need to figure out at some point if any of you folks want to go, and if so, which session and or both. And so we can kind of go over that in
Okay.
correspondence. I've been working with Barbara on getting up to speed on the budgeting process to date, and then also talking about our plans going forward for next fiscal year. Also working with her, which I already touched upon this, to eventually coordinate with wage and personnel as far as some of their policies. And that was when she spoke with me about kind of adding me into some of the stuff as a point of contact. Green Community is done. I am waiting for further guidance from them as far as additional information that we may need to submit. They did acknowledge our submission as being quote-unquote complete, but the OCPC had said, stay tuned because they'll probably need more, just to get us up to date, because they were missing information since FY14.
Yeah.
So there's a lot that they need there, and I think that there's still more to be input, but we'll move forward on that. I'm working on obtaining various job descriptions for some of the openings that we are possibly going to be looking at in the future. And once they roll out the 2018 schedule for the MCPPO certificate programs, because there are various certificates that you can get, I will pursue some of those as well. They hadn't, but the last time I checked it, they still had the 2017 calendar up. So I'll be looking into that for next year. That's pretty much it for now.
Great. All right, how about correspondence?
Okay. Kind of a thick folder this week. So the first item is the MMA conference, which again is January 19th and 20th. We should respond at some point in the near future if you guys would like to attend. I still have not registered yet, but as I mentioned, I'll register this week for the session, so if you want to
I
attend
may
that.
go one day.
Or if you want information. I think on the 20th, it's more geared towards elected officials, Board of Selectmen.
It is.
And then on the 19th, it's more geared towards people like me and kind of the workshop
The Saturday
series.
morning one, the 20th, it is the Mass Selectmen's Association.
Right.
And that is pretty good. Usually, the governor, or the lieutenant governor, attorney general comes later in the morning, and that's pretty interesting as well. Unfortunately, I can't go this year, and I hate to miss it, because it's
Okay.
a lot of fun. But
I just gotta find out if I'm working that day.
I'm really glad you're going.
Well, just know if, that we have the registration info and we
What's
can
the
take care of
deadline?
that. Let me see, I believe it was, by the end of December. I had talked to Denise, Baker. I believe it's through the end of December, but I think some people actually register on site, but you have to pay more
Yeah, I
and
think
pay
it's
on
like
the
75
spot.
bucks, yeah.
I believe it's more if you have to do it on the spot.
What
quite a
is
visit.
it, like $125? Is that what the
I
the fee
think
is?
for me, I think it might be 180.
I think
Okay.
it's 180.
I believe it's
180.
180.
And then it goes up from there.
Okay, and that's for
Piece.
both days?
Yes, that covers you for both days.
Well, I wonder if we could split it, like if
But-
you went Friday and one of us went Saturday.
Let me talk to Denise. She's the main contact person. She's been very helpful for me as far as getting me signed up with MMMA. So let me just talk to her and kind of find out what the situation is with that.
Okay.
I'm not sure if because the town is a member of MMA, you may have a discounted rate versus me being more on like the staff technical level. So
Okay.
I can talk to her and kind of find that out.
Okay, that'd be perfect.
As far as where that stands. The second piece of paperwork is also from MMA, actually addressed to you as chair of the board. And it's just noting that their business meeting, which I believe Mark was just referring to, is on the 20th. And if the chair of the board cannot attend, but you want somebody to go and have a seat at the table and vote on your behalf on anything to do with their business meeting, you can name another member of the board.
Okay.
So if you weren't gonna go and say you wanted John to go and
Okay.
vote on your behalf, there is a form that we can send in. This would need to be in by January 10th. If you
Okay.
wanted John, Mark's not available that day, but if you wanted John to vote on your behalf.
All right.
So we have
Why
that
don't we
here.
coordinate? I'll check my
So we'll
calendar.
save this, I'm gonna give this back to Bree after, so that if you want him to vote on your behalf, you can just, we'll write his name
Yeah.
and then.
120,
Believe that
January
we
20th.
will find it.
So we'll try
Yes.
for one of us to go.
Now
If
that's-
you're not working, that's the selectmen's meeting at the
Yeah,
MMA.
right.
Okay.
I think the deadline for the other registration was the 8th. I think it was January 8th was that deadline.
Yeah, and you can also register, I mean, you can show up that day.
Okay.
Do it, but for
Okay.
the selectmen's one, if you want John to cast a vote on your behalf.
Yeah, why don't we figure it out?
Yeah,
We'll,
we'll check.
we'll coordinate on the 20th.
Okay, then this was from the Council on Aging. They voted to appoint Patricia Mustakaros as their chairperson through June 30th, 2020. And I believe they realized that they need the board's signature.
Okay.
So that's there, along with a letter from them indicating that they did in fact vote to do that.
That's good.
So I make a motion that we approve this appointment.
All right. I'll second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And that's Pat Mustakaros as the Council on Aging chairperson until June 30th of 2020.
Yes, and they did leave for me a printout from their section of the website, so I went in for them and updated the website accordingly.
Great.
Their
Super.
section of it. This is a notification from the fire chief regarding the failure of the furnace that heats the offices there. In addition, the water heater is no longer able to be repaired, so both of those have now failed. They're heating the offices with the apparatus bay heating units. So he is going to get quotes to have this work done. He's already been in touch with Barbara. And she asked along those same lines that I make you aware that any repairs that are done will come out of the building maintenance account. So
Okay.
that's just for us
And we
to
think
kind
we
of-
have enough in that to.
We have $26,236. So they'll go out and get the quotes, and then I believe if it's over 5,000, they'll need a written contract.
So they need a new water heater and a new furnace?
Yes,
Okay.
yes. So that's that. Email from the fire chief dated December 14th that they are working on making improvements to the town's emergency preparedness plan. They're working on updating the notification to residents and updates that go out. They are also working on creating an additional shelter space at the Congregational Church and acquiring some different supplies. And then it goes on to outline that the Red Cross has made some very generous donations of more than 100 cots and blankets. So they're they're sort of improving upon their operations there and getting all of that
I did
together.
see that on Plympton Helping Plympton. I would say that's one that we should put.
Yeah,
on.
we can send something
Yeah.
out to this effect too, that just kind of lets people know
Yeah.
what they're.
Yeah, there was a nice
direction
article in the
they're
paper
moving.
about
Yeah.
it, the Halifax Reporter,
Yes.
with pictures.
Also, we have a letter here from the fire department dated December 13th, 2017, a vote of confidence in and support for Chief Warren Bersari. Also along those same lines, we have an email here from a resident dated December 12th, just commending the actions of Officer Doug Mazzola, and thanking him and the Plympton Police Department for their good public service. Then we have the 2018 Preservation Awards. This is a notification the Mass Historical Commission sent out, and they are seeking nominees. And this details the different award categories. So if we know of anything or, a project in our community that we'd like to nominate, we can certainly give this more
Can
thought.
you circulate that?
Yes, I'll put this in correspondence and then maybe tomorrow we can make a copy and scan it to everybody, Bree, just to the board so that they're,
If you leave it in there, then I know
Yes.
I mark it here.
yeah, so we'll go through that. Then we got a notification from MEGA, the Massachusetts Education and Government Association. And it's just talking about their proxy and annual meeting for the fund year in February. It looks like they do workers' comp insurance. So there is an invitation here for their meeting, which is Thursday, February 15th in Norwood, Mass. So we have all the information here if anybody is interested in attending that.
That sounds like a lot of fun.
I'm praying that I'm available. Oh, look at that, I'm away. Oh,
I'd like to see that calendar.
And then, last but
I really
certainly not least, we have the Plympton Halifax Express. And they noted in here, which I think was very helpful, that the new townhouse hours actually began tonight, 5 to 7 p.m. And we're gonna do this to see if it's helpful for residents maybe on their way home from work or those who are, maybe don't wanna come out as late as 8 p.m. to conduct business. We will be here from 5 to 7 on Monday evenings. And also, they had a very nice write-up on the newly appointed lieutenants to the fire department, complete with some very nice photos. So I thought that the coverage on that was excellent and very helpful.
Very nice. All right, so that's it?
concludes correspondence,
That concludes
yes.
correspondence, okay. All right, dates to remember. Let's see. January 8th, but we're going to meet on January 2nd as well. So that will be our first meeting of the new year. The townhouse will be closed on, is that a Monday, December 25th?
Yes.
Yes.
All right, so it'll be closed on Christmas Day and New Year's Day, which both fall on a Monday. The new house evening hours started tonight, as Liz reported. It was nice to see, I saw people in the parking lot as I was walking in, that they were here doing business, so it seems like it's
They were here, someone came in, wanted to know when I checked on them. Wasn't I watched them through the window?
Oh, very nice,
And I said,
good.
we're opening at 5, and it was great. And then
Perfect.
Christine, I checked with Treasurer's office, and she had people.
Excellent, that's good, good to hear. All right, board's goals for coming year, financial
Can I
management.
go back to dates?
Yeah,
Just
what
a
do you
couple
have?
things. The bylaws committee is meeting January 4th, and they asked me to extend an invitation to Elizabeth, and I think she's
Yes,
going to be.
we talked about that
Yeah,
earlier.
she's going to
Okay.
be attending that, and
Very good.
to get her plugged into them. And maybe just to sort of float the idea, we're meeting the 2nd, we're meeting the 8th, the 15th is Martin Luther King Day, and the possibility that at that point we start thinking about maybe every other week Board of Selectmen meetings, knowing that stuff might come up and it would have to become an every week thing, but
Yeah, that was something that I had wondered about. When Mark was, he happened to be in earlier today and we were just kind of catching up on the schedule. And in talking about that, if we met the 22nd, I think he has something else going on the evening of the 29th. So he won't be there anyway. And then that was when we started talking about maybe if we didn't have anything, maybe skipping that night. Just as sort of an observation, this is one of a few communities that meets every single week. I can certainly understand why you were doing it when you were the only people kind of here, you know, doing that.
Doing
You
the
didn't
work.
have anybody in my position. But now that I'm here, I think it might make sense if we tried to do maybe the every other, just from sort of on the other end of things, on the office and administrative end. Bree especially spends a ton of time prepping for the meeting and then deconstructing everything from the meeting. It just kind of gets to a point where it's a whole lot of talking and doing and everything for the meeting, but not a lot of time for follow-up in between. So that was just sort of my general observation. I think it would be a little bit more productive, especially even from her standpoint, just to have a chance to kind of catch her breath between meetings, and not have everything so much on autopilot, like, okay, well, we post on this day and then I have to finish the minutes from this week, and you know, to have that extra week. I mean, obviously if we had a lot going on, or if there was something unforeseen that came up, with the understanding that you'd sort of kind of keep those off weeks in mind, but most places around here, they're on either, you know, the 1st and 3rd of the month, or the 2nd and 4th, you know, Monday of the month. But I think the every week thing is kind of, I just think from an administrative perspective, it's a little tough, I think, to maintain. And I don't think anything would really fall through the cracks if you gave it that extra week. If anything, I feel like it would give people more time. Like, say if somebody responds to you now, you know, did we have enough time to process what they turned in adequately to discuss it, you know, or are you kind of pushing stuff out week after week? So that was just a brief discussion that Mark and I had. And again, it's just an observation. I'm not looking to reinvent the wheel, certainly. I know I'm still fairly new, but that was just my 2 cents.
When does Halifax meet?
They meet every other week.
Tuesdays.
So they meet on Tuesdays?
Yeah.
So is this a meeting week for them, or is this an off week for them?
This, I believe, is an off week for them. I want to say, I was with Charlie earlier, and I want to say it was an off
Well, I
week.
just wonder, for the press,
Last Tuesday I was there.
okay.
Yeah, so this is the off week.
Might be easier for them if we were on the opposite schedule of Halifax, so that they always had some news.
oh, good for you.
To
That's
print.
thoughtful.
So
Because
they
if we're all
must-
meeting in the same
Nice.
week,
So
Yeah.
then they must be on the 2nd and 4th, I'm assuming.
okay.
Yeah, so we could even use that to decide if we wanted 1st and 3rd or 2nd and 4th, but we were just kind of talking, it sort of came up kind of organically as we were having a discussion. Mark has a prior commitment you know, for the last 2 nights in January, he has some different stuff that he's doing. So that was when we said, well, if the 15th is a holiday and we're not meeting, then naturally we'd want to meet on the 22nd, so maybe we should just skip the 29th, and then that was what kind of prompted the discussion.
I don't want to rush into this. I think we've got a lot going on. I think Elizabeth's brand new. I'd like to at least go through a month or two and then see where we feel we are. But if anything, I see this thing speeding up. We're going into budget season. I think we have to play a more active role this time, now that Elizabeth's here. We have the opportunity. One of the things that has frustrated me is the ability to get information, you know, in a manner that we can put together things like a get well plan for departments. And I'm not criticizing anybody. I think it's just that we've never had the resources. The other towns that, you know, they have plenty of resources. They can do it every other week, and they got all the people working behind it.
But if we weren't here that off week, then you could do some of this, you could serve on other
But I'm doing this now.
committees, yeah. But we aren't super productive when we're here meeting.
I disagree. I mean, part of what we're here to do is to hopefully reach out to the townspeople and let them know what's going on. I don't think if we wanted to make this a working committee, it would be much different in terms of what we'd be doing.
True.
I feel as though, just to add in, so we have this meeting today, tomorrow I come in, I'll send out the emails that you want to somebody or asking them.
Right.
I don't hear from them. Agenda has to go out and be done by Thursday. That's where I fall into it. Don't have the same answer. I haven't really changed this agenda. If you look, it's the same thing, but we haven't heard let's do it next week. We haven't heard let's do it next week. We have a lot, not completing. It's taking a couple of weeks to complete something to get it off.
But is that the test? That we have to be done by a date?
No, but sometimes it's you don't hear any answer. You're not hearing anything.
Right, so it just moves forward. I don't see anything wrong with that. We have affordable housing plan on here. You know,
Yeah.
it took a long time,
It
but
did take a long time.
it's done, it's a class act. I think, you know, if Mark's got some dates he's gonna be missing and we want to say, okay, we'll skip those. But I don't wanna make it, for me personally, I just would rather not have it every other week till we feel like we're further down the line.
I don't think, my suggestion was maybe not to formalize this, but, I mean, we do have some Monday holidays coming up. It is the dead of winter, and I think maybe the suggestion to dip our toe in, miss a couple Mondays and see what happens. Or maybe each week we're still deciding, you know, it doesn't look like there's too much new. I mean, certainly, we have a real working board here. I mean, the three of us all put a fair amount of time in, and John more than anyone, and I don't think the goal here is to not. I think it's to take advantage of Liz, and I wouldn't mind missing a Monday here and there, or seeing if that works and seeing if we can't move to that. All the more during budget season. I mean, it makes it all the more chance that Liz can go to finance committee meetings and not miss anything that's going on here. So I just throw out the idea as something that we might work toward and not feel an absolute obligation when Monday's a holiday that we have to meet on a Tuesday.
The following Tuesday.
And if nothing else, I'm really looking forward to next week when we don't meet for once.
Yeah, I agree. I think that would be the goal of the board, is to get to meeting every other week. But I respect where you're coming from, John, and I don't think that this, you know, this is something I want to take on right now. Maybe we don't do it until the summer, and when things are slower, and then see how it works out. But, you know, I agree with what you've got too, that if Monday's a holiday, maybe we don't meet that Tuesday, and we'll kind of see how things play out.
We've been doing that.
Yeah,
I mean,
we haven't
yeah.
been doing that, and I don't think we've fallen
I
behind.
think the only time we've met on a Tuesday is where we felt we had to accomplish something.
Well, where we had like a deadline, something
Yeah,
we had to do,
yeah.
yeah, where we were meeting with somebody. So, do you wanna just try that for weeks with Monday holidays, to try not to meet that week?
Yeah, and that works out over,
Yeah.
over the next couple
Yeah,
of months.
over the next
They're
couple months.
sprinkled in there
Yeah,
and.
then we'll just go from there.
Yeah.
Okay,
We are meeting on.
but we are meeting on the 2nd. Yeah, we're meeting on the 2nd, and then we're meeting on the 8th,
Yes.
and then it's Martin Luther King, right? So we're
Right.
off
Skip
on the
that one.
15th, we
Yeah.
skipped that one, we'll be back on the 22nd, and then Mark won't be here on the 29th, so we could try not meeting on the 29th. Yeah, okay, all right.
Okay.
So we'll go from there.
It all.
All right, so board schools for coming year, financial management, we've got a great financial tool that we will be putting to test during this budget cycle. Anything else on financial management?
No.
All right. Public safety,
They meet Wednesday, I'll be there, and I'll be
Okay.
glad to report next time.
perfect. All right, grants, Liz finished up the Green Communities report for that grant. We do have some other grants that we were gonna look at down the road, possibly the open space or recreation grant, see if, what portion of it might work for us. Any other grants that were on the radar? Okay.
The regional, what was the regional efficiency one?
The regional efficiency one is the
We've
shared
applied for that.
services.
Right.
We applied for the
Okay.
a grant to look at regional efficiencies or best practices, and we have not heard back on that one yet. All right, volunteerism, we're gonna work, or Liz is gonna work looking at the list and promoting openings through social media and see if we can get some people in. I think in general, what has been successful for us, and it's probably gonna be what we have to continue to do, is asking people. Because I think people just don't think I could do that when they see something advertised. But, word of mouth, people say, so-and-so might be good at this, and we can continue to do that.
Maybe we put a little working committee together too. I happened to have a hallway conversation with Mrs. Russo, and she really had some good ideas. And if anybody's good at that, it's Kim.
Oh, Kim is fantastic
Yeah.
at that.
So I think we could learn a lot there.
What, like a volunteer recruitment type?
Oh, just maybe a workshop to brainstorm some ideas.
Okay,
You know.
to get some new people
It'll
involved?
probably take an hour or two to just
Okay.
sit around and kick out ideas.
Okay. All right, technology.
Well, I think we're about finishing up. We're gonna get a document reader, and next time we meet, we can show those
Good
things
stuff.
up here,
Perfect.
which we should be doing.
That will be so nice. Okay, all right, so minutes, we've got 11:27, 12:04, and 12:11. I didn't see the 12:11.
I didn't either.
All right, so we'll hold the 12:11. 12:04 I did see. Did anybody have anything on the 11:27?
I was okay.
Yeah, I'm okay.
Those are all-
Okay, all right, so I'll make a,
Did you send it to the town addresses emails?
No, I use your regular
Okay.
one.
No, I haven't seen it.
I saw something that said 12:11, but there was nothing attached to it. It just said, it was just an email.
There's
So,
nothing on it?
there was nothing on it.
Have my name in it?
Yeah, you sent it to me, but there was no minutes.
I think I saw that too, now that you say it.
Okay,
So the attachment didn't attach?
no, there was no
Yeah.
attachment. Okay, so, I'll make a motion, we accept the minutes of 11:27 as written.
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
On 12:04, I had some changes to the,
Yep.
about the plan. Was that in the 11? About the housing production plan?
No, it's townhouse.
Maybe that was the, oh, here it is here, I'm sorry, it's the 11/27. So, it's Sharon Housley and Dawn Hastings of the Plympton Housing Production Committee presented the final draft of the Plympton Housing Production Plan for review and approval by the Planning Board and Board of Selectmen.
Did you wanna write that on there?
Yes,
So we're gonna take back that vote, because you voted.
yes, so I'm gonna make a motion to rescind the vote on the minutes of 11/27 because there is a minor thing that I missed up on the date for review.
Okay, I'll second that.
Second, all right, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, so I'll make a motion to accept the minutes of 11/27 as amended.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, thank you. And planning board. All right. Good to have those down. Thank you. All right, so 12/4, you guys have anything on 12/4?
I'm okay.
No, I'm okay.
Okay, make a motion to approve the minutes from 12/4 as written.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, all right, rants and raves. You wanna go first, Mark?
Sure. So, raves are twofold. Actually, we have off next week, and I'm kind of pleased about that. And a little break isn't a bad idea, and maybe just to savor what's going on. Equally, I think the flavor of this conversation tonight, it's been a pleasure working with Elizabeth the last couple weeks, and I think the thing that comes out of that is some of this stuff, particularly on the parking lot, the really interesting stuff, the proactive stuff, we're all the more going to be able to do. And so thrilled she's here, thrilled it's the holiday season, thrilled to have the opportunity to work for town.
All right, mine rave is that email about Doug Mazzoli, about how we've got a Plympton police officer who stopped by a resident's house when they moved in and introduced himself and got to know the homeowners and stops in now for wellness checks and how that truly is Plympton helping Plympton. You know, people looking out for each other, and I just kudos to Doug. He epitomizes what we hope that we all do for each other. It's just look out for one another and help people in need. What do you
Very
have?
nice. I have a bunch. I'm in a raving mood. I have the Fire Association at no cost to the town going around putting out a schedule, and Santa and Mrs. Claus visited the different areas. And there's pictures that, the kids there. Also, we had an event at the Plympton Historical Society, and they did a very nice job getting the ambulance. They called the ambulance for one person who had broke a wrist, and then the other person fell in the meantime. So, a rave for cable and YouTube, so that I can go in and look, and when I go off on these tangents, I can see Christine rolling her eyes. Here he goes again.
Get better at not reacting.
So those are my raves.
Oh, that's funny. All right, anything else?
I think
I think happy holidays to everyone out there.
yeah.
All of our viewers, all 15 of you.
Happy holidays, Merry Christmas, Kwanzaa, Happy Hanukkah,
Yeah.
Happy New Year, safe and peaceful New Year's.
Enjoy it with your family.
Yeah, very good. Yep, stay safe. All right, Merry Christmas, and we'll see you next year.
Make a motion, then we adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Good night.